Hi. Okay. Hi. Hi. Hoo. Hi.
So every time we get on this thing, I always feel like you haven't talked to anybody all day, and then you finally get to talk to me, and it bursts open like floodgates.
I do. I mean, I do. I talk to my coworkers, but
There's
like
that look
okay,
again. There's that look again.
okay, but okay, the people who I worked with today, they're I wouldn't call they're not jokesters like I am. Like I've got a couple coworkers who have the exact same sense of humor as me, and so we literally the entire day are making really crude jokes to each other or talking in accents or having fun. And these coworkers are super nice and I love them, but that's just not their personality.
But it's really funny because sometimes you just think about it, and I could see it on your face like this, and you're just
Oh,
it's it looks down and to the right and past whatever you're looking at. You're just oh, I could see just the hole I live in. It's just so funny
Oh my
every time you bring
God.
it up.
Also, oh my God, Earl is leaning against the fridge in the sunlight and he's so happy. He's so cute. I'm going to take a picture of him right now so everybody can see him.
Literally the worst thing you could do
Earl,
on a podcast, and I
buddy.
love that you're doing it right now, and you're just gonna keep doing it.
Buddy,
That's fine.
he's so
I mean,
cute.
I understand. Nobody's seen a
Oh.
fucking cat before. You know
My
what's
baby
funny?
boy. My
You know what's
baby
funny?
boy.
You know what's funny? I heard another podcast today about BuzzFeed
Really? Wait, what about them?
and about
How much
how they started.
suck?
About they started and how they started based off of everyone sharing cat memes and just general memes in general, and it has to do with connection. And the way they explained it, it was that's a really smart way. No wonder you guys are very popular. You caught on to something very early about the internet that makes it makes it one of the most important tools of all time is connectivity, whether it be business or personal. But yeah,
Man, I haven't looked at a BuzzFeed article in so long.
they're great. They're awesome. I mean, there's so much that it's hard to look at the really cool stuff or look at the fun stuff. But
Yeah.
what they do is it's just candy. It's just television.
Candy.
It's just television. It's just always has a constant flow of programming.
Yeah.
That it's that you could just look at it a couple times and be satisfied, or you can go to it every day and everything in between. That we'll get to more in the topic. But hi everybody.
Hi, everybody. It's the Brightside with Mikey and Rachel, and I'm Rachel.
And I am Mikey.
And this is the podcast where we talk about Lindy Hop, our opinions, and forget to do the intro. Oh my gosh.
We don't forget.
I totally forgot.
It's natural. It's just comes in.
It's all natural.
Yeah, I hate it when I hear a podcast and it goes right into the intro, and I'm like, oh, I like hearing stuff beforehand.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because that way it feels a little more natural.
One calls it a cold open.
Wait, did you say Juan or Juan?
Juan? No. Why would I be talking about Juan?
I don't know, because you just said
Juan,
I
if
felt
you're listening to this, I hate you.
If you're listening to this, I'm sorry that you're.
I'm sorry.
You must be
sorry,
punishing yourself by something.
I didn't mean that. I don't hate you. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm sorry.
It just sounded like you said Juan. It was really funny.
One.
Juan in a million.
One.
One. So how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I received an email today from an audition. An audition that I had a couple weeks ago. Okay, well, so here's the story. I guess maybe it was the beginning of last week. I can't really remember. I auditioned for this short film. The audition went well. It went well. I wasn't super stoked about it, but it went well.
Okay.
I sent them a thank you email for bringing me in because, I'm polite and professional and awesome. And
some of the
they emailed me back almost immediately and were like, "Hey, thanks for coming in, but we're not casting you."
Boo. I mean, honest.
Yeah, honest. It was, and usually I don't hear back. I don't get rejections like that. I just don't hear back from them. So it was I was kind of bummed. Totally forgot about it. Today, they send me an email congratulating me. I have booked the lead role in the short film.
That's hilarious. I love it that they probably just sent you that like as a what is it called when you like send somebody something and it
Oh
automatically just sends
yeah.
something back.
I I thought about that, but the weird thing is that the rejection email that they sent is gone. It's not in my inbox. I didn't delete it. It's not in the thread.
I mean, okay, I
How
believe
weird
you.
is that?
I believe you, but also the other hand, like I know how you are with technology.
Okay, well, I'll even go into my trash right now.
Look, Rachel, I know times are tough, but like don't go trash diving. It's okay. It's fine.
Dumpster diving on the phone.
This is riveting podcast
Dumpster
material.
diving.
I love that you're trying to make up for by singing.
I'm all alone. Dumpster diving. Why can't I get a job?
I mean, I ask myself that every
Dumpster
time.
diving.
Every time we do this, I'm like, why doesn't Rachel get a job?
I'm gonna change my name to Bob.
So you got the lead role. So like, what does
I
that
got
mean?
the lead role.
What does that mean?
It
Like,
means
you're
I'm
start
gonna be
filming
the
something?
lead role. I'm gonna be the lead in a short film.
So when are you gonna start filming?
December 18th, 19th, and 20th are the shoot
nice.
days.
So perfect. So then right after then you'll just go to Lindy Focus with us and it'll be great.
Totally. Absolutely.
See, here's the thing, everybody. Is Rachel and Brett are probably not going to go to Lindy Focus, and I'm saying this out loud because I don't give a fuck. But I want you guys, anybody listening out there, go ahead and send memes and little gifs over to Rachel saying how much we're going to miss her, or how much we want her to be there, or just how much in general that she sucks that she's not going.
I will accept gifts in the terms of gold, diamonds.
Not gifts. GIF.
Oh, gifts. I thought you said gifts, and I was like, it tis the giving season, you know.
So far,
like
so far,
if you wanna give, I will receive.
So far-
I will not say no to that.
So far, I mean that you're opening yourself up
You
to a
can
lot of things.
you
there.
can
Pun intended. Hey,
you
yo.
can ask Brett. I do love receiving a present. I'm not gonna lie. Like, why would I? Who doesn't like receiving presents? You know. They're pretty great.
Send Rachel gifts or gifts.
Gifts.
Gifts or gifts.
Gifts.
Anything in the form of small or big boxes. That'd be fun. Actually, that would be super fun. Stop looking at your goddamn phone. I don't care about the email anymore.
Yeah, it's not.
Look up. There you go. Good. See,
It's not. I'm serious.
Rachel,
no,
come
I'm
back.
serious.
I know you're
I found it, and it's not there.
Rachel, like I told you, I believe you.
It doesn't even matter.
Doesn't
It
even matter.
doesn't even matter.
So
You know how
what
like
else
The
was
Rock used to say?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He'd actually do it like this. Hey Rachel, how's
It
your day?
doesn't matter.
Oh, you did it to me first, you son of a bitch.
It's because I quick like a cat.
Quick. I am quick like penguin.
I am quick like penguin.
There you go.
Squawk, squawk, squawk.
Speaking of the biggest things in my life right now is.
Oh yeah, let's hear about it. How are you?
I just saw the Justice League the other week, and I fucking loved it because I had low standards. I just needed a couple things to happen, and it happened, and it was awesome. And
Blood, sex, and drugs? No. Oh, sorry.
what?
Blood, sex, and drugs. I meant to say sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I don't know what happened
Either
there.
way, still not relevant at all. It's fine. Our communication today is so good.
It's really great.
We should have a podcast.
Top notch. Hey, let's do a podcast.
Yeah. So Justice League was awesome. I think I have low standards on what I see from the DC films now, but I thought it was really fun, and it totally changed the course. Like
Low standards or low expectations?
Both.
Sweet.
Because the past films have been very like dark. Like they tried to go all Chris Nolan with it and like extra dark, and they went like too far over the edge with how dramatic and serious it was, and they lost all the fun part of it, and especially making Superman like so pouty. Like that's Batman's thing. He's pouty, he's brooding, but Superman is all cheerful and joyful. And spoiler alert, fucking Superman in Justice League is fucking happy-go-lucky, and he's saying his like catchphrases. They even went as far as like making his suit brighter. And I'm like, fuck, that's awesome. I know there was like a bunch of controversy. I don't know if you heard about this, like of the mustache that Henry Cavill had to have.
No.
So of course not. So he had a mustache, and they digitally removed it.
Oh, you know what? I do think I heard about this.
And the thing is like I was listening to a bunch of podcasts, and they brought up a good point. It's like we're too connected to the way movies are made nowadays that it almost like takes the joy out of it. Like we know
Like
what's
ruins
gonna,
the magic.
yeah, yeah. And like granted, I understand that the scenes aren't the best, but they're so small. Like the scenes aren't that big, and like there's one scene that's longer that's weird, but besides that, I'm like I could give a fuck. Like I can give a shit because I'm watching a guy fly. Like you know, like
I'm watching men fly.
no, but
I
like
mean, has anybody ever heard of such a thing?
but like
It's
the thing,
like, oh my god.
like the thing is that like I love that the suspension of belief is only about the flying, is only about the flying part, but not about like someone getting rid of a fucking mustache digitally. Like I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, you can't go that far. He's fucking fighting a giant monster. Like it's all CG. It's all fake. Like
CGI.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
No,
just
I
one of
get
those
you.
funny things. It's just one of those funny things where I'm just like, calm down. Like this is so fucking cool. Like I loved it. I mean, it wasn't by far. It was not a perfect movie, and they weren't trying to go for a perfect movie, but it was definitely fun and like a really good way to tell the DC stories like that.
That's
And
great.
and the other thing is that the Infinity War came out. The trailer came out, which was fucking awesome. Like, oh,
I don't
so
know what
good.
that is.
So good. The Avengers third film.
Oh, gotcha. At the
Yeah.
end of the trailer, did it have a cute "We Heart You, Mikey"
Yeah, always.
banner?
Fuck yeah, hell yeah. Because I'm
That's-
I'm a
that's cute.
big ass fanboy.
They're like, "We love you, Mikey."
Yeah, it's so funny because
Fanboy
like
Mikey repping in Madrid.
yeah, like I remember being so hardcore into Marvel stuff when I was a kid, but I only was into it because I like the pictures and I like the ideas. I never read the comics, I never read anything else, but like now like I'm just like looking at this shit and I'm like watching these like childhood heroes like on screen and yeah, I know most of it's all like this like fantasy world, but god damn it, it's just so cool to watch it like that. I don't know, it's just fun.
Aw.
It gives me a lot of hope for like in general like dreams and wishes and goals and stuff. So it's really fun. liked
Dreams
it.
and wishes and goals.
I liked it.
Yes,
It was
great.
fun. It was
That's
fun.
great.
Yeah.
That's really great.
Yeah, and I'm moving. I packed a huge ass bag behind me with like all my junk that I've collected here in Madrid, and I'm moving to well, I can't really say actually out loud. So I'm moving somewhere else in Europe, and I'll be there in April. So I can't really say it yet, but it's okay.
Really?
Unless I already said it before. I can't remember if I said it on the podcast before or not, but it doesn't matter.
You totally said it before.
I don't think so. It's fine.
Yeah, no, you
I've
so
I've
did. We're like
I've
not
told
shocked
you-
by it.
I've told you many times.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I've told you many times.
Yeah, I mean, it's like whatever. I'm like so not phased by it. It's cool though. It's cool. It's totally fine.
cool,
It's
it's cool,
totally,
it's cool.
absolutely. I'm so okay with this.
What are we talking about?
situation.
What? You don't even know. I feel like you're half here. Where are you, Rachel? Do you even try
I don't
anymore?
know. Do you even try?
Do you even try?
Hey, close your mouth and look around. Okay? Like, open your eyes and listen at what's happening. Okay? You know what? It's like war, disease, hunger. Just pick one.
I honestly have no idea what the fuck you're talking about right now, and it's hilarious.
That's because you need to listen with
who?
your eyes and
To
your
my eyes?
mouth.
I need to listen to my eyes and my mouth, but I do that all the time. I love my voice.
I love my voice.
I love my voice.
I love. Speaking of your voice, I heard it on the track.
Yeah, it was fun.
Oh, you don't want to talk about it. Look at you.
No, it's fine. I mean, what do you want to
Listen
talk
to you.
about?
No, it's fine. No. Oh,
fine.
no, I'm
It's fine.
fine. I'm fine.
It's fine.
I'm fine.
I mean, I said a lot.
You
on
were
there.
so
I mean,
cute.
yeah. I said
You
a lot
said
on there.
I haven't listened to the whole thing yet, but
Obviously.
you're so cute.
Yeah, it was. I said a lot. I said a lot of this stuff on there. It was fun. It was. It was nice for him to give us a little shout out on the Facebooks.
Yes.
It was good. It was good.
It was
Did you hear
a
what
nice little shout out. And you gave me a little shout out.
I
Couple
gave
of
you a
them.
little shout out. Yeah, yeah.
Couple shout outs.
he's just I just love the fact that he's like Ryan's like yeah because I'm not funny. I'm like yeah neither am I. Rachel's the funny one. She's like obviously we're not funny people, but Rachel goes to school for being funny.
That's true, but I mean, like, let's be real. I was funny way before that. I have gotten funnier though.
Yeah, you have gotten funnier. Looking.
Lucky.
But yeah, I was. If you guys are interested, take a look at the Track podcast with Ryan Swift.
Listen to Mikey
on the iTunes. I was on there.
Talk about his life. You sound like such a fancy person.
Yeah, it was fun. It was really nice because the first time we did it, like, it was a live episode, and the live episode was like really weird because at the time I was really in the position of like trying to be on in front of a crowd, as in like put on a persona, and I just did it too much, and I wasn't able to have like a good conversation and be in the moment with Ryan. So this time I like made sure I was trying to be like in the moment, and like it was nice because we were just in a secluded room and no other people around us, and it was just me and him. So yeah,
I learned that the meaning of persona is a mask.
You know, we all have masks sometimes.
We all have masks sometimes. Mikey, you gotta take that mask off. Show us who you really are.
You guys all missed it. She actually mimed taking off a mask off her face right now. She's just hit it. She's nailing it today with the fucking podcast material.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, when am I gonna get a nap around here?
Oh, that's what it is. That's why. Okay, so you're like a kid that's like has a last little bit of energy, and you're just like spending it all before you have to go to bed.
Oh, poor baby girl, you need to put down for a nap. You need to be put down. Poor baby girl. Poor baby girl. Baby Rachel.
Oh, baby Rachel.
Baby Rachel's gonna get grouchy if she doesn't get put down for her nappy bappy soon.
I think most of our listeners will get angry if we don't start talking about dancey stuff more.
That's true.
Fucking.
They're like, no.
Okay.
Anything but dance, please.
Because at this point, if they listen to any one of our episodes, they know that like we're just going to talk about whatever the hell we want.
We're just
we
gonna
say
talk.
We say it. We say that we talk about whatever we want.
We say the truth. It's not out there. It's in here right now. This podcast.
Keep going. I just love when you go off like that. Just keep going.
That's it. That's all I have
to say.
Okay.
That's good. Let's go to the topic.
Nothing else more. Woo! The topic comes from a video that I had been shown by oh my god, I just totally lost my train of thought. Been shown by in one of my acting classes, and they like sent us the link.
Uh-huh.
It's a TED Talk from Brene Brown, and it's called Being Vulnerable.
Yeah, it was really good, and you sent it to me a couple months ago. I think back in October, actually, like the last time before we had a long break. And you're like, oh, you got to check this out. And I was like, oh, okay. And I did. I was like, the next day, and I was like, whoa. That was too
really resonated with me.
Really real. And it was like, it's not too over the top. It's like given by a researcher. And she talks about, Brene talks about how like she considers herself like a storytelling researcher. And she's like, that's like, so like contrasting the two ideas of a storyteller and a researcher. And then she talks into her whole talk about how like the sense of being vulnerable set her off to have like this kind of like breakdown. Anyways, but like we're gonna go through that. If you haven't seen the video, though, we'll put a link down below after you've seen this on Facebook, and
because
so you guys can check it out.
Literally, I watched it and I was like, whoa.
You know what's funny is that like because we talked about this right before we went on, but I was like, I've watched it like 4 or 5 times now in the past like month or so.
Oh, and really?
Yeah, it's only like 20 minutes, so it's not bad. It's nice to hear, but every time I hear something different, because like I feel like I'm searching for something different, because like in this last time I watched it, it's just a general idea of what she's talking about. And then later, like a couple years later, she does a follow-up, which is more focused, and it's really interesting. But we're going to focus on this first one, for the being vulnerable one. And she talks about, sorry. What I meant to say was that she she talks about this general idea, and then every time you listen to it, like you can get kind of something out of it, and it depends what you're listening for, like
Yeah.
what you want, like because being vulnerable, you're like, ooh, what does this mean? And it could mean a whole bunch of different things to any person that's listening to it. And yeah, it's full of little nuggets of knowledge and things that she found out from people in her research.
Gotta have me some nugs.
I love that you wait until I finish. You're like, I can see you gotta. I have a joke. I have a thing. I have a thing.
I have a joke.
I love
Let
it.
me
I
say
can
it
tell
now.
it now. I can tell it. I can tell it. That's why it's like teaching with someone where you're like you say something that triggers them into like, ooh, I have a thing, and you can see them about to say it, and I'm like, let me just finish up. Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
Go.
Good. I'm
Okay,
glad
great.
you added to it. Okay.
Perfect.
so the
Anyway,
first thing
that's it for today's podcast. And
time for nap time.
time for nap time. Bye. Just kidding.
So yeah, of course. So Brene Brown being vulnerable. She goes into the first part of it talking about connection, and it's the reason why she believes it's the reason why we're here, and it gives us purpose and meaning, as in to connect with people and things and other things. And that's why I was saying about BuzzFeed. It's like at the beginning of the internet, people were sharing, or beginning of beginning of social media and stuff like that. The things were being passed that he saw, the creator of BuzzFeed, that he saw being passed around like Facebook and Twitter and stuff, were just like a couple of GIFs, like cat GIFs, and like a couple of memes. And
Yeah.
what he saw, that it was like it gave people a way of connecting towards one another, in the sense of like, oh, I saw this one thing. Oh yeah, I saw this one thing too. And then
Yeah.
the more and more people see, like on a page, where like we all saw this one thing, they feel more connected with other people, maybe that they've never even met, or probably will never meet, but at least it has that connecting feeling, and
Yeah.
that can give people a lot of power and courage to continue, and that whole idea of love and belonging and connection and is very evident in our community, in the Lindy Hop community, which is why we have so many like-minded people. I think it's really, really awesome that in the first place of talking about connection, it's not just a technique we talk about in dancing, but it's literally trying to connect with somebody that you're dancing with or you're dancing around.
Totally. I actually wonder if this topic is going to sound like a little too like hippy dippy or crunchy to some people, because we're like talking about feelings and artistry and creativity. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Especially because it seems like there's a big trend right now in the dance to emphasize like the athletic side of it. It's all about like fitness and your endurance and how strong you can be, and like how
Well,
like
even we did a podcast about that, about the
Yeah.
Being, what was it? Being the thinker or like the feeler type feeling. I can't remember what it was, but it was based off of athletics. Yeah.
Yeah, and just like being the athlete. It's like a sport.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think that's the thing about this TED Talk that people need to see. Like, we're going to talk about it the best we can without people even seeing it first. So stop the podcast right now, go over and watch it, and then come back to us.
And then come back.
But
Because
that's the thing
otherwise
is,
we're going to spoil it for you right on purpose.
the people who think about it like how you were saying, like crunchy or hippy dippy. I'm like, okay, first off, like, you have to have this. This is a dance about feelings. This is a dance about so many different emotions and so many different thought processes that, like, it makes sense to think about it as an athlete,
Yeah.
but also as a hippy dippy, if you want to think about it like that. But then in this TED Talk, what surprised me when you sent it to me, I was expecting hippy dippy, but what I got was a fucking scientist telling me about feelings, like trying to quantify feelings.
Well, and not even just like, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like the deepest, rawest feelings that you have, not just as like a dancer or an artist or an athlete or whatever, but as
The
a person.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how like using those feelings and those emotions can help you move through your creativity and move through your successes
or life just in
or
general.
life.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like for me is like I think with our podcast like it's really opened my eyes into a lot of the ways of thinking and a lot of laughter at your voices, but but the thing about this is that she's saying that this is the way she's perceiving how to live a life that is whole and fulfilled, as in not just ultra happy all the time, but also a life that's happy and sad and maybe not super confident and also confident, and like she's like saying like you can't have one without the other.
Yeah.
So like she goes into the whole idea of like when she talks to people about love, belonging, and connection, and just in general, people start talking to her about the opposite. Like when they talk about love, they talk about heartbreak. When they talk about belonging, they talk about not
That's
fitting
right.
in. They
That's
talk about
right.
connection. They talk about not connecting. So it's really funny ways like when we think about in a class or like in dance wise, that's how we perceive everything, and it's easy to see it when he's saying like like, oh, I'm not good enough because like I messed up this move when I dance with somebody, or like I have nobody to talk to when I go to a dance, like I can't socialize with people, or just in general like I can't understand what my partner is wanting to do with me. So like it's all those kind of
Yeah.
things, like it just kind of mimics the rest of your life, and in this dance, in this partner dance especially, that can be very useful. And so yeah.
Totally.
Oh, sorry. I thought you had something to say.
I
You
didn't.
had that moment.
No, no,
You had that
no, no,
moment.
no, no.
You had a moment. You had a moment.
No,
Um,
no, no, no. No, go, I want you to go. I want you. You
So
have
after-
like you're taking a good handle of the reins here.
after thank you. After she talks about the whole idea of like you can't have one without the other, and people think about it in the negative sense, or at least the people she talked to, she starts going into the three things that make up a wholehearted person, and she talks about courage, compassion, and connection. She says courage. She says that it's a way to tell the story of you with with everything you are, or your
Yeah.
whole heart, and it talks about being like, again, the whole heart is not perfect. It's always like kind of it's an imperfect life, or it's a courage to be imperfect, as in like, again, like it's like stories. That's why we love like underdog stories, because they're
Yeah.
not at the top. They're not at the top yet, but you see the progression of somebody moving from the bottom all the way to the top, like Drake. Yeah, OVO, the 1-6. It's all right.
Totally.
He's a singer. It's okay. The kids know what I'm
Totally.
talking about. So
No, yeah, I know.
Started
I
from
know,
the
yeah,
bottom,
no,
now
I
we're
know. I
here.
know who Drake is.
started from the bottom, now my whole crew's come. Okay, it's fine. All right,
Song.
so
No, I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
I'm there. I got you. I'm riding along.
and then the compassion part is the being kind to yourself so you can be kind to others. Like I think that's really important. I mean, I know for me. Sorry, go ahead, Rach.
Oh,
Go ahead.
no.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say like when you say that, it sounds so obvious. Like,
Yeah.
oh, do unto others as you would want done unto you.
Yeah.
Like the golden rule, but
Yeah, but
Uh,
it's taking it a little bit differently. Like it's the same idea, and I think maybe at least that way I hear that, like the do unto others what you would want done to you. Like it's giving that outward perception of what you expect from somebody, but it's actually
Yeah.
doing it like it's being like, what do I expect from me, and then I can do that to other people.
yeah.
Like and I think that's a really interesting take on it, because I'm like, oh yeah, that is true, and maybe this is like. People are probably if they're like rolling their eyes, like, of course that's what it means. I'm like, I don't read. I never
read
claimed.
books. Like,
I
who
never
do you
claimed
guys
to
think
read
I
dictionaries.
am, Einstein or something?
Einstein,
Huh.
I believe it's Einstein.
It's like, talk about being a millennial. It's the new millennium,
Oh, I hate that. I hate that so much.
2017.
I hate that so much.
It's like, pick up a phone and go outside.
Ugh. I hate when people start. Oh, I hate being put into a box. Oh, I hate being put into a box.
When people call you a millennial.
Yeah, and just in general, I've always been like that. I'm like, just don't call me that. Just fucking
You
say
can't
I'm
label me. You're not the boss
Yeah.
of me. You
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
tell me
yeah.
what to do.
Yeah, it's like when I talk to people about like the Meyer-Briggs stuff, Like,
Yeah.
don't put me in a goddamn box. How dare you? And
What-
they're like,
what's-
and they're like, actually, like that is what your EMF pi T crappy leapy D.
What is your Myers-Briggs? Do you know it?
Yeah. I was just reading about it the other day. Actually,
Yeah.
it's ENFP.
You're
apparently.
ENFP?
ENFP, yeah.
Really?
That's what it says.
I'm
I took the small
ENFP.
tap. Of course we are. That's why we're on this podcast together.
Oh, boo.
I know. That's why we get along.
Fun fact: ENFPs are the most introverted of the extroverts.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Right?
Yeah, that
That's
sounds
what I
about right.
thought. That's what I thought too.
I enjoy
I was
my
like,
downtime.
I guess I can be a little introverted sometimes.
Oh, you know I can.
Oh, you
Wow,
know
out
I
in social-
can.
out in the
I
social
introvert
atmospheres.
so hard up in here.
Wow, I'm gonna have to edit that. Wow, I apologize to everybody's ears right now for Rachel screaming to the microphone.
Did I really?
A little bit.
Maybe your ears are just turned up really high.
Or maybe they deserve to be yelled at. Maybe podcast listener, maybe you deserve to be yelled at right now by Rachel.
Yeah, maybe you guys earned that.
Yeah, I think so. It's not us, it's them.
Congratulations.
Little air high five.
Pew.
Pew.
Anyway.
So, anyways, and then
Yeah, no,
and
no,
then
no, go.
she goes on to talk about how the sense of vulnerability is the willingness to do something when there's no guarantees.
So, how do you think that relates to Lindy Hop and what we're talking about?
I mean, in general, like you said before, like it's not just the dance; it's life, and I truly believe in the sense of, maybe it's just because how long I've been dancing in this world. Like I don't separate it back and forth. I don't have my real life and my dance life. Like I thought about that, and definitely in a portion of these last 20 years, like I thought about like, oh no, I have two different lives, like two different things, two different personas, two different things. And I'm like, that's really difficult to live by. And now I think about it in the sense of like, it all is my life. And to be vulnerable in this life, I have to like make it equal and not have to split myself too much. So
Yeah.
just make it harder, because then I'm living like fucking so many different things. But anyways, but the willingness to do something when there's no guarantee or guarantees, in the dance world, it's really interesting because we could set goals for ourselves, but like sometimes we just have to face it, like that, like sometimes things aren't going to go out the way they planned. Like it's not guaranteed just because you're going to put that extra effort into your dancing, or because you're talented. There's no guarantees that you can be a good dancer. So sometimes you have to throw yourself at it and see what happens, and just see what happens. And like I'm talking in a sense of like just getting somewhere with your dancing. Maybe that's just a general way of putting it, but there's so many different ways you could take the idea of vulnerability in like performances, or like throwing something down on the dance floor and being like,
Yeah.
fucking here's a thing, and like I'm not sure if it's people gonna like it or not, but I'm gonna throw it out there and see what happens.
Yeah, I this is something that I was thinking of right before we got on that I didn't say out loud, but like I want, like, there's you can't deny that people are getting so good so fast these days. It's crazy. And like, sure, like anybody who's good can like throw a routine together and perform it and like do it the best they can technically and hit all the timings and hit all the choreography and perform with a smile on their face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
I'm following you.
But I wonder, like, I just wonder how routines would look if everybody like put their entire selves out on the floor instead of like doing what they think is hip and cool at the time, or doing what they think will get them a first place win.
Yeah, and it's really hard to find out if they are or not, because we're influenced by so much nowadays that we're kind of, especially because like it's on demand now, that we can go down that rabbit hole on YouTube, of like
okay.
just like seeing so much stuff and being flooded with ideas and flooded with the same stuff that
Yeah.
we blur the lines between what is like what we create and what we've seen so many times and what we're just like regurgitating.
So like I think a really good example, like a really good couple who is a good example of this is Stefan and Bethany.
Mm-hmm.
Like every time they create a routine or they performed, it was like it was them.
Yeah.
It was everything about them. And
Yeah.
you could see their personalities, you could see their likes and their dislikes, and you could see like how much they love the music, you could see how much they love the dance, all in their routine. There's a lot of times that I watch routines and I can't really pull that much from it. And I don't know if that's like the one difference.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that people are putting moves together and putting it to a song and then performing it, but they're not like truly putting themselves out there in a vulnerable position.
I think it's hard to say that. I mean, I believe you and I know what you're saying, but it's hard for me to believe that in general because like if people want to do that, then that's what they're doing. You know, like they're just
Right.
copying or just like, oh, I saw these 3 moves I saw on these clips over the last year, and I want to throw them into this routine and like create something and show off, and like that's good too, as long as they're. I think the willingness of it is, or like the honesty of it, you know, being like, okay, oh yeah, I love this because like I saw these 3 moves and that's how I base it off of, or that's what we base it off of, and then like we threw in this routine and now we just created this whole thing around these 3 moves, and like and this move I saw from like so and so did it and whatever, and so did the second one, and so did this third one, and I just really wanted to do this. So I think that can go very far as well, you know.
Yeah.
You know, so like I'm just saying the other side of what you're saying, like, because I truly believe the same thing. It's like what would happen if people were just honest in general. So I'm just going like, okay, like what if they were honest and in what their thought process was, as opposed to be like, oh yeah, like I just made this whole thing up, and everybody's like, no, obviously you fucking copied these moves.
Right.
Not everybody can be or should be original at some point.
Yeah. Like I'm not saying that like you have to make up all your own moves, but like I this is a concept that I'm like still trying to figure out in my head.
Okay.
So I don't have a lot of words for it, but I just wonder like I don't know, I would just really love to see like if people could see the difference, like if somebody just like threw a routine together and it was good technically, but it was like just thrown together for the sake of doing a routine, and then someone who like really like sunk a lot of emotion into their routine, if people would be able to tell the difference, or if people would just be like it would be a toss up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I totally. I think people realize it without noticing it. Like they realize that, wow, that routine was really special and like that meant something, and they get something out of it, you know, whether it be what the dancers or creators really wanted to, or what they generally decided to grab out of out of a routine. And other times they're like, wow, that was really good, you know, and like that was just flashy and stuff like that, and it was great.
Yeah.
You know, so I think audiences in general kind of understand that, and they take take what they want from a routine in general, like as in like take it or leave it. I'm sorry, not take it or leave it, but like take it and be like, "Oh, that was fun. That was great. That was like candy." And this other one's like, "Ooh, this is like that really deep conversation I just watched or I just had with these other dancers." You know.
Yeah, I mean, and I even wonder like how relevant that idea is to most people. Like, are people?
Yeah, that's.
I wonder
that's
if like
a good question.
are people thinking about that in any active capacity, or is it just like a subconscious thing, and then they move on with their life, and then they never think about it again?
I think because we're so flooded with stuff, I think it happens just like they don't really think about it maybe too often. If something is just flashy, they just kind of like get it, and then they like, you know, toss it to the side, and then they see the next thing. But I totally get what you're saying.
Maybe that's what's been my problem recently. I keep trying to pinpoint like I I keep feeling like I have this beef with Lindy Hop recently, and I can't figure it out, and I'm like watching people dance, and I'm like not enjoying it as much as I want to, and I wonder if that's like part of it is I'm like seeing people like do the moves because these are the moves and these are the techniques and these are the rhythms, but they're like, it's not with conviction. It's not because like they're like owning it or they're showing it or they're sharing it. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, but I also believe that it's partially you in the sense of like you see past it and you don't see them, you see what they are regurgitating. As in like, oh, they saw someone do the move or saw them do the rhythm or saw them do this technique and you're like, oh, I know where they got that from. And so you don't see it for what it is. It's just someone trying to work out something.
Yeah.
You know, and not everything is going to be a winner. Like not putting down anybody's routine. I'm just saying like not everything is going to be fucking Rembrandt, you know, like sometimes you're going to get
Nothing
like
is going to be Rembrandt because it's not a thing. So you can't be it.
Thank you for clearing that up, Rachel. God damn it. But you know, like not everything is gonna be fine art. Sometimes it's just gonna be finger painting.
Totally. Oh, totally.
You know, and I think at that point, like you have to decide that for yourself. Like if you watch something and then you know, like 10 seconds into it, I was like, oh, it's just gonna be like finger painting. So like I'm not gonna expect a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and then when you go into something like, ooh, I know like Stefan and Bethany, if they ever like do another amazing routine. I know they've done a couple
Hint,
things.
Please
in
do another amazing routine.
Seriously, because we know we know you're listening.
We know
watching.
you're listening.
You're always watching.
You're watching us with your ears.
but you know what I'm saying? Like when it's like what I said with Justice League. Like the movie that I just saw. Like I went into it not expecting to be blown away, but just expecting a few little things, and it totally hit it, and I felt really great about it. You know, like I didn't expect it to be fucking The Dark Knight, which was one, an amazing movie, and two, one of the most greatest comic book movies of all time.
Yeah.
You know, like, and because it told a great story, and it was actually a film that you could watch. You know, I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting just a couple things that like I needed to happen. And it totally hit it, and I was totally fine with that, you know. Like, and that's what I come to expect from different routines, and that's something like as a judge, like that's what I have to do. I have to be opinionated of what I like and what I dislike, but I have to take it for what it's worth, you know. And in contests where it's like choreography against another choreography, I just have to take it against whatever I saw,
right?
Not from whatever I saw before, whatever I'm going to see. It's like in that moment, what happened, you know.
Yeah.
So it's a hard thing. It's a hard thing. You have to be vulnerable as a performer and as a dancer and a creator, but you also have to be vulnerable as a audience member and a consumer of all this information and creativity out there in our dance scene.
Ooh, I love that.
Because I mean, let's put it the other way. Instead of being vulnerable as a creator, you're vulnerable as an audience member. So you can't go into it with like a guarantee that it's going to be beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, so like while I agree with you and I totally see that, like we have to kind of turn it back on ourselves and be like, what do we want out of this? What are we looking for in our dancing? What are we looking for in our life? Because it's going to be reflected. You know, like if I watch something that some dancer just creates out there, and I'm just like, I fucking hate that. That was horrible. You know, then I'm not watching it for what it's worth, because what it's worth right there is just like someone putting something out there. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah,
that's a lot. That's a lot to take in.
Yeah, of course. I mean, this is new for me too, because I've been where you've been, where I'm like, fucking nothing impresses me, and all I see is the same old bullshit. That's me. Sorry, not you. Sorry. I know that sounded like you're like doing that. I'm sorry. That's like, not it at all. Yeah, I'm sorry. That was me, and being like, you've heard me. I think I've heard been you around there, and you've heard me be super hypercritical.
I've heard you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm like, I mean. I will say, I mean, okay. Well, I'll say a couple things, and maybe saying all this stuff will help me like wade through what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been one of those people who can dance to any song, no matter what kind of song it is, or dance with any person, no matter like who they are, what their skill level is, or dance like every single dance, every single night, every single day. Like I've never been that person.
Mm-hmm.
like I've always been a more discriminating dancer, and so I feel like that's like one little knock off the old chopping block. But then also like I've been around the block for a few times. I've been dancing for like 12 years now. So I feel like naturally I'm not going to be as easily as impressed as I was within my first 5 years of dancing, where like almost everything I watched, I was like, that was amazing. But I don't want to say that I'm like hating on everyone. Like I watch a lot of routines and I'll be like, that was good. It was a good routine, but I didn't really enjoy it that much.
Yeah.
Or like I didn't connect to it, or I didn't. It just felt very surface level to me.
Yeah.
Like there didn't seem like there's any meaning behind it.
And that's okay. That's okay, because like, but then again, like I challenge you to look at something that you did like, because like, let's face it, like, especially like somewhere like ILHC, where some people like come out with things and you're like, ooh, that's not good, like,
Yeah.
and you can disagree with, I mean, like opinionated basically, and that's okay. You can have your opinions and everything, but like also like challenge yourself to look for the good parts of what you're looking at. Like, well, they did do this really well and all this stuff. Like remember we talked about that one routine that happened at ILHC, and then we had to like kind of cut it out of our ILHC thing.
Yes.
And like I looked at that again after the fact of watching it live, and I was like, well, actually, they did do these things really well. I'm trying to stay away from
nobody got to
descriptions.
see it.
What are you talking about?
I mean, nobody got to see it again, so it would have been nice to at least see if they were doing something. Do you know what I mean?
No, but I think we're talking about two different ones. I'm talking about the green one.
Oh, yeah, I'm talking about a different one.
I'm talking about the green one. I'm talking about the green one where like a lot of people were like, oh, like you could just hear everybody's like head just like tilt to the side like a dog like hearing something.
A big
crazy
question mark floats out of their head.
Yeah, and I think in general, a lot of people look down on that routine, and then, but I looked at it again, and I'm like, oh, okay. I challenged myself to like look for something I really liked and something I thought that was really valuable.
Yeah,
and it was the some of the things they did was like, oh, okay, that was really cool, and that was really clean, and that was really okay, good, stuff like that. Like if you're gonna if you're gonna be opinionated, that's great, but try to find the opinions on both ends. This is what makes like critics, like movie critics or like any kind of critic like, in general, like they truly try to find like the good and, excuse me, I just burped into the microphone.
Gross.
And they try to look into the good and bad into things. Not, I mean, like good critics will look into
Right.
both ends of it. So I think in general, like that can help you out to kind of like even yourself out. Because again, like the idea of what Brene gets into here is that you can't have one without the other. She gets into the idea that like basically vulnerability is the place where shame, fear, struggle, and struggle for worthiness comes from, but also it's the birthplace of joy, creativity, and belonging and love. And I'm like, oh, that's like, it's such a mixture of
so
like
cool.
this. It's such a mixture of like the Eastern philosophies where like you can't deny yourself one end or the other. You have to live like this whole. She calls it the wholehearted life, and I'm like, oh, that's so that's so good. And because like, she then goes on to like saying like we numb parts of ourselves, like, or we try to numb parts of ourselves,
like the bad
like
parts.
if you're feeling very like depressed and you're like, you try to like numb it out, but then you can't numb out the bad things without numbing out the good things. That's what she keeps finding in her research, that like every time someone tries to feel rather, actually, sorry, she said it earlier, like every time she talked about something good, people couldn't help but talk about the bad part of it.
Yeah.
And vice versa. Yeah, so like that tells me it's like it's okay to be opinionated, but like try to find something that's good for you. Like at least speak it out loud, Like and what's so funny with dancing is I've only begun to like think about this in the last year, maybe two, where I'm like I'm trying not to say like so plainly in a class that like this is good and this is bad. It's just the awareness of what you want to happen and what's just happening without your control, and trying to control that a little better. Balance it a little better. Does that make sense?
Like in terms of like doing like saying like don't do this, this is bad.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. Because understanding is better for me than just realizing what good and bad is.
Sure. Yeah, of course.
You know, and I think realizing what good and bad is a general thing for a lot of human beings on this world. Like being like, this is good and this is bad, and you're like, okay, great. And like you take that for like a certainty and like that's the truth of the world. Like this is good and this is bad. Like there's a gray area, and there's also like perspective and different points of view.
Yeah.
Not on everything. I mean, Nazis are bad. Period.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. I mean, like, so something that I've been learning in one of my acting classes is to just like acknowledge what you're feeling all the time. Mm-hmm. And like for example, if you're gonna like compete in a competition, instead of like shaking out all your jitters, being like, I'm getting rid of all my nervousness, acknowledge that you're nervous and then be okay with it. Yeah. Be like, I am nervous. And it's good to be nervous. Or it's okay to be nervous.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
or
I think people,
I'm tired and I don't want to compete. And I acknowledge that, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Or like I'm tired and I don't want to go to Lindy Focus. I get it. It's fine.
I never said I wasn't going because I'm tired.
I get the subtext, Rachel. I get it. I understand. But no, I totally believe with you, and it's very funny. Like we're planning on doing this in the future, is talking to competitors right before they go out, and like, especially ILHC. I would love to do that, and it's very funny because especially I think 2 years ago, in backstage getting ready for ILHC, a couple of the pro contests, I went to everybody. I was like, "You nervous?" They're like, "Yeah." Everyone just like had no problem saying it. Yeah. But like they work through it so much, and they allow it to kind of be part of the process. Yeah. It becomes okay. Like there's definitely a couple people who were like maybe not nervous because like they have no feelings, but that's okay.
The robots inside.
That's how they work, and that's fine. But it's part of a process. It's part of a thing that happens that you learn not to grow past, but grow with. Yeah. And that's the thing, is like we try to be perfect. We try to perfect ourselves, and I think that can be very damaging sometimes, because like we're trying to attain a goal that's unattainable. Yeah. Perfection, like, and that's something that a lot of like religions try to teach you is this like you can strive to be that, but understand that you'll never be there, and that's okay. And
Man. Like, I struggle with that so much.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't? I mean, like, but you know what? It's really, really great, and like that's what you're talking about is like be okay with that, and that's what Brene says as well. Like you're imperfect and wired for struggle, but you're worthy of it. Like you're worthy of the good and the bad. So like just because you may be like, struggling, doesn't mean you're not worthy for success.
Totally.
Like it's up to you. Like you gotta work with it.
So, oh man, I remember this one time I was competing in a Lindy Hop competition, and it was like it ended up being a crazy competition. Everybody threw down. Mm-hmm. It was insane. It was at Lindy on the Rocks.
Nice.
And my partner and I got second in the competition, and one of the other competitors came up to us and was like, you didn't deserve second place. You were sloppy. You stole that place from somebody else.
Okay. This is the point of the podcast where I'm going to stop and just be like, tell me who that motherfucker was.
I'll tell you after the podcast.
Oh, fine. I'm going to make a riveting podcast, but I guess not, Rachel. It's fine.
But but I like let that get in my head. Like,
wow.
Like, and I carried that with me for years. Like, I'm not good enough to place. and I'm not good enough to make finals because I'm sloppy and I'm flaily. That's where I got that idea in the first place of like,
The
oh,
flaily?
being like flaily and sloppy because that person called me sloppy. And like,
What year was this at Lenny No Rocks?
gosh, I can't remember. Maybe 2012 or 2013. I think it was the
Good
first
to know.
year.
I'm gonna go back in the videos and watch.
I think it was the first year that they had the Hell's a Poppin' contest.
Sure.
Like where they
I mean,
called
who
it the
hasn't?
Hell's a Poppin'.
Who hasn't has a Hell's Popping contest? Yeah, yeah.
I can't really remember.
It's okay.
But
The point of
but
the
I
story
like,
is that what happened after? Like how long do you still feel like that? Do you still
Yeah.
feel like a little bit
Yeah,
like
like-
unworthy of it?
yeah, like when I competed with Carl Nelson at ILHC
Mm-hmm.
a couple years back, not this past year, but the year before.
Yeah.
We competed in the All-Star Strictly, and I kept deflecting the whole time, like, oh, I don't really want to compete. I don't care about this. Let's not dress up. Oh, I didn't get in shape for this contest. Whose fault is that? It's not mine. And I was like making jokes like that the whole time. But it was because I didn't feel like I was a good enough dancer to be in the division.
Right.
I didn't feel good enough.
Yeah.
We didn't make finals, but we were an alternate for the finals.
Mm-hmm.
Which of course we didn't find out until like the very end of the weekend. But which like when I found that out, I was like, oh, we didn't do so bad.
Yeah.
But in the moment, I was like, I don't belong here. I shouldn't be dancing with all these people. They're so much better than me. Like Carl and I hardly ever dance together. How on earth are we like making ourselves even look decent in front of all these people who have this partner who they train with every day all year long?
I think that feeling right there in general, like everything you just stated a minute ago, of like being like, oh, I didn't train for this, I'm not in shape for this, and whose problem is that? It's not mine. I'm like, take a little responsibility, not for yourself. I mean, well, a little bit for yourself, but to everybody else that I hear this from, and it's not just. I wanted to say it's a lot of American dancers really stay that way a lot, and like the sort of like laughing it off and the general bitterness of like watching the Swedes or Europeans win a lot of the stuff at ILHC. I'm like, that's because they train. That's because they're willing to like work hard for something. They're not sure they're going to win, but they're really trying hard to, like, and I feel like
they try hard, but I also think that they respect the dance as an art as much as they do from like an athletic perspective. I don't want to call it a sport, but
sure. But like, at the same time, it's like, I mean, whatever mindset these people are, they're like still coming to a contest to try to win, and they're not assured they're going to win. Like that's something that's why they take so much happiness and pride in the fact that when they do win, they're like, yeah, they're genuinely excited because they put so much
work into it,
and vulnerability into it. That's what it's about.
I think I don't know if this is how everybody feels, but I know that like this was kind of a common conception in Albuquerque for a while, which was that like Lindy Hop it's not a real dance. Like we're not real dancers. We're like faux dancers because we're not classically trained and we're not like flexible and bendy and are trained to do like these beautiful pirouettes or whatever. And so like for a long time, I don't feel like I took the art of it very seriously. And it wasn't until I was like, this is a valid dance and the dance style is just completely different from what I always considered dance to be dance.
Yeah, but I mean that's the other thing too, is like that's what like societal pressure will do to you. Like it's like you only have that thought process because of like what you've heard and what you've seen been told you before. So like the thing about it is again like that's why I choose as a professional dancer in this world of Lindy Hop and swing dancing to put on a podcast with you, one of my best friends, and like say out loud to people to be like, God damn it, like this is, if you love it, and I think everybody who listens to this goddamn podcast like thinks that, I'm pretty sure they love it.
You better love it.
No, I mean like they probably do because they probably listen to us and they're dedicating something. So like it's okay to say it out loud. It's okay
Right.
to basically officially say like I love this dance and it is a dance and it is worthy of my time, and I think it's just in general like a great thing to do.
But what I'm saying is that I wonder if a lot of Americans feel that way. Like
That's what I'm saying.
we as a culture don't put like a lot of emphasis on art and culture.
I know
That
and
that's
we
like
talk,
low on the totem pole.
right,
We've
right,
talked
and
about it.
yeah, we talk about it. We talk about it, and that's what I'm saying. Is like I
Mikey,
agree
we've
with
talked about it. We've talked about it.
We've already gone over this.
We've
many,
gone
many
over
times.
this. Mikey,
And
we've talked about this.
and I am
and I'm not going to
totally-
say it again.
I'm gonna say it again though.
Okay, so close your mouth, look around, and count to 5.
27 pizzas.
I'm done.
Okay. But I think what you're saying is in general. I'm totally agreeing with you. I think it's a generalization to say it, but I think from based on the attitudes that I've seen is that a lot of Americans do love it, but they're afraid to say it out loud. They're afraid to dedicate a lot more time into it. They're maybe afraid to actually struggle and work at it to only find they're gonna make alternate. You know,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
but the thing that I've seen time and time again is that like, and to say it quite bluntly, like Montreal has a huge scene, and they have a lot of competitions, and there's a lot of dancers that are not that good, but over time they work really hard and they become really good. And
Yeah.
I've seen it many, many times, and that's proof right there that like you can start from the bottom and you can get somewhere. And if you want to win that one fucking contest, you just have to dedicate more time into it.
Yeah, I mean, yes,
So-
I agree with that, but I also feel like there's an element of like the people who win consistently or who do well consistently, love it for the sake of loving it. Not and like yeah, maybe they do want to win the competition, but like loving the dance is more important to them than winning the contest. Do you think?
No, not really. I think well, maybe, and yes, like for sure. But you
Like-
when okay, no, I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. That most people do for sure. But you know what? That still doesn't negate the fact that they worked really hard to try to win.
Oh no,
So that's what
for
I'm saying.
sure, for
So
sure,
that's
for
what-
sure.
so that's what I'm saying is that you can't have one without the other. You could totally love it. You could totally love it, but I think you have to prove it to yourself. You have to again, like it's like the whole thing of like golden rule kind of thing, like you said, like the
Do unto
compassion part of it.
others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you have to, like, just because you love it, like you have to be able to share that and be okay with like working hard at something, and then like that doesn't mean you're gonna love it any less, but like that means that you're gonna work really hard to basically prove to yourself that you love it. So that's what I'm saying. It's like that's what I feel is missing. Is like the extra hard work that it's gonna take to get there.
So
Just because you love it
Yes.
isn't gonna be enough.
enough for what? To win?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, but what I'm saying is that I think that a lot of people don't like I don't want to speak for him, but I want to use Sky as an example because he is like I think when people think of like a creative, artistic Lindy Hopper, he's like one of the top people who probably comes to most people's lists, right? And like he doesn't come across to me at least as the kind of person who's like striving to win. Like he would like to win, but what he's more focused on is like his passion for the dance and his passion
Right.
to create something compelling with the dance.
Right.
And those things are what come through at the end of the day for him that give him those first place wins. Not because he's like I'm doing something so I can win. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do, but I disagree.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I agree. No, well, I agree with the thought process for sure, but I don't think that's his only true motive. Like, it's like I just love it so much, and that's and then whatever happens. I'm like, yeah, that's probably true, but like, you know, people thought about that same thing about Frankie, but really like he was a competitive
Very
motherfucker.
yeah.
Yeah, so like it's the same thing. I feel like not just comparing Sky to Frankie or anything, but Sky as a person himself, like I think he's actually very competitive.
I mean,
I think honestly, like if you want to talk about someone that loves the dance and is not competitive, it's like faulty.
yeah.
You know, like that's what I would say. But like I would say Sky loves the dance and is competitive at the same time. But he knows when he can be competitive and when he wants to be, and he can like use it towards his advantage, as in the sense of like he's going to LHC to throw something down, and yeah, but he knows it's a contest, and he knows he needs to put hard work into it, and he knows that hard work and is going to mean that like I want to win. Like he's not just going to put hard work into it and not want to win. It's a difference of expecting and wanting.
Yeah.
You know, like goal setting. You know.
I yeah. I no. I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. I just
I think people. I think you're totally fine in the way you're thinking. Like I'm not disagreeing with everything you're saying.
I think that how you think is perfectly acceptable. Like I guess it's
Yeah.
okay for you to have your thoughts and your feelings. I don't know about how everybody else feels. I'm just saying, like for me, I'm okay with it for now.
Are you sure? Are you sure? But like,
I'm
are
sure.
you really sure?
Oh, I'm sure.
Like, tell me
Totally
how you
sure.
really feel.
I like really feel like I'm sure.
Okay, so the ideas that we could say out there is general. Is I think again, it's just being honest and being okay with like fucking dancing your whatever you feel like, and if you feel like just like doing it on like some really simple level of, and like I'm just enjoying this dance for what it is, and that's fine. But like as soon
Yeah.
as you throw something down on the dance floor that it's like in a competition, you got to be as true to yourself as you can be, and sometimes it takes a whole hell of a lot more than just love, you know.
I would like, yeah, for sure. I mean, like, I would really like to challenge people to create a routine or go out in a competition or even in a social dance and like do something that feels very true to them, even if it doesn't feel trendy, even if it feels like stupid or ridiculous or like you would never do it in public. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
Like wiggle your knees for 30 seconds and just like have a great time because that's what you're feeling.
Yeah, but that's not what everybody feels. Some people feel like they want to do the trendy thing, and that's okay too.
Well, yeah, but
As long as they know what they're getting into for what they want out
I'm
of
ju-
it. I think
I
that
know.
I think that matters. I think that matters more than just kind of going out, because once you go out there and you do that like non-trendy thing, that becomes the trendy thing.
Well, I know. I'm just saying that I would challenge people to like do what feels very true to them in their next routine or social dance or competition. Like just do it even if you don't feel like it's trendy or popular or
Right.
like you feel like you might be embarrassed by it. Like just do it and see how it goes.
Right.
Like see how it makes you feel and see how everybody else responds to it. Just as an experiment.
Or
Because it might
or-
turn out much
or
differently
just-
than you expect.
Or just say, just do it. Don't care about the response. Don't care about the win. Don't care about anything, and just do it. So that would be completely going out there without no guarantees of anything. As in, just like the only guarantee you made to yourself was like, I did this because I wanted to do this thing, and that's it, and I accomplished it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was it. I didn't,
Yeah.
you know, like, and that goes a long way, and I think people feel that over time for sure. The last things that Brienne talks about in her TED talk is like what she can do, her different path is like her different pathway to be vulnerable, or live a wholehearted life. She talks about let ourselves be seen, deeply seen, vulnerably seen, love with all our hearts with no guarantee, practice gratitude and joy, and believe that you are enough. And again, it's like she tells the whole thing. It's like, and just in general, it's like we can stop screaming and listen more, be kinder and gentler to others and ourselves, and that's how she ends it basically. And it's such
Word.
it's such a poignant idea of today's world in general. It's like stop screaming and just listen
Word.
more. And that's the tough thing about social media in general, because that's where most of our conversations happen nowadays, and that's fine. But I think there can be a better way of doing that as well, and not just having to do it in person, but you know, there can be if you're gonna start something with somebody, like still think a little bit kinder and gentler, because if you want to prove your point, comes across a lot better and makes people
Yeah.
listen a lot better rather than screaming and telling people what they should be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to say, but in general, like this really calms me a lot, and
Yeah, it's
really,
comforting.
really, yeah, it's very comforting. Exactly. If you guys get a chance, we'll put the we'll put the link down below, and in the Facebooks, and so take a look at it. It's only like 20 minutes. Like it's really really good.
It's a quick watch.
If you ever feel down, just watch it once, and then you'll feel really good because you'll always get something out of it. So yeah,
Should we move on to the question?
absolutely.
All right. This question comes.
It's a novel.
It's a novel. Comes from Richard Lindsay from Germany. Hi, Richard. He
I
says
think
that
he's actually English from Germany, but let's go for
Oh,
it.
he says he's podcast listener number 7. Somebody's keeping count.
Everyone's trying to be number 7, aren't they?
Okay, so just bear with me. There's a long story up
Go for
top, but then it
Go for
goes into the question.
Go for it.
Says, hi both. Question for the podcast for you. I recently was fortunate enough to attend a series of workshops with Mikey. In this case, he was teaching with Mosa Khan at Mojo Swing in Las Palmas de Gran Canaria. It was my first time.
Canary.
Okay.
Canary Islands.
Canary. Okay. Oh, okay. Got it. It was my first time taking classes with either Mikey or Mo, and I really enjoyed their teaching. For many reasons, the structure of the classes, the attention to small details, the logical and clear technical explanations. I felt at all times like I was in the hands of experienced professionals, and I learned a lot. What a nice compliment, Mikey.
I think it's all a lie. I don't remember being all of that. But that's good. Good for you.
One thing that particularly struck me, though, was that we did a very thorough warm-up with stretching and cardio work before each class. I've only been dancing swing/Lindy for around 18 months, so maybe my experience is limited, but I have attended a few international events, and this was the first time the teachers insisted on what I consider an adequate, thorough warm-up. It was hard work. I mean, Mikey literally got us to kick our own butts, winky face. But for me, it was exactly the right way to start a 2-hour session of dance, especially on the morning after getting in late from the party the night before. It's the professional and responsible way for teachers to start the day and protect their students from injury. I personally always do my own stretching before and after any classes, but I'm usually the only one. And I also got the distinct impression that the warm-up was unpopular, with maybe most of my co-students appreciating that it was a great way to prevent injuries, but still wanting to dive straight into the material. Given that seemingly most teachers skip a proper warm-up, I'm guessing that it's generally considered unpopular and thus somehow not very commercial, and a lot of teachers skip it knowing that they would never start a training session themselves without proper preparation. So my question is, first, Mikey, is this your feeling also, i.e., that you are insisting on something which is unpopular but necessary and beneficial? If so, he applauds that. And also, question to both of us, when teaching, are there other things which you insist on including which you know are essential and of long-term benefit for the students, but at the same time you know they might be unpopular in the short term? And as a professional, do you sometimes have to put long-term benefits before short-term commercial gains? Looking forward to hearing your thoughts. Take care. Muchos saludos from Germany. Richard Lindsay, podcast listener number 7. Winky face, winky face. Woo!
First off, congratulations on reading that whole thing out loud.
Thank you.
That is like one of my deep fears in life. Reading out loud.
I rehearsed it like 9 times. Yeah. Well, so the first question goes to you, Mikey. So what do you think? Is this your feeling also?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think if he's asking, this is your first feeling also about the most teachers skip a proper warm up. I mean, everybody does a version of a warm up, whether it's like putting on some music and just letting people dance a little bit, or doing like a jazz thing and like following the dance, following the teachers in front of them and doing that whole thing.
Yeah.
But really, this started over the summer where I started to get where I got hurt, and I was like, okay, I need to do this better. And I'm trying to basically do a warm up that'll take less than 5 minutes, but still be adequate enough. So it's like a bit of cardio, like he's been saying, like run in place, high knees, kick your butt, do a couple squats, stretch, touch your toes, touch one side, touch the other side, and then reach for the ceiling, and then like bend your neck back, bend your foot back,
Bend your
and then
neck back.
yeah, doing a lot of stretching that's for the lower back and
Yeah.
legs. So because that's what we're gonna use a lot of in the classes, and
Yeah.
just doing that enough, just like under 5 minutes. I'm trying to do it better each time I do it, and I usually try to do it at the like the morning classes.
Okay.
So like if you're gonna be in classes all day, I don't do it for like every class, but I'll do it in the morning class and then usually right after lunch. And the after
Okay.
lunch thing is always the hard one because like everyone just ate a fucking meal. But they're like,
How do you-
I'm like, trust me, yours is gonna be good for you.
How do your students usually respond, do you think?
Well, that weekend was really funny because like there was 2 hour classes. So it
Okay.
was like 2 hours and then like a bit of a break and then 2 hours and then like a bit of a break and then like an extra class.
Okay.
So the when I did it, they would be like, ugh. There was a couple students like on the second day they were like, ugh, and they just like walk to the edge and like sit down until we were done. And I was like, fine, that's whatever.
Man. Okay.
Oh, I don't care. I mean, like I'm not one of those people. Like I want to. Like my first reaction is like, get the fuck up. But
Yeah.
But like I can't make them do that. Like this is for my benefit, and hopefully they get some benefit out of it. Hopefully, like really, and I enjoy it and I really like it, and I can't ask them to do any more than that because that's what I want to do. And
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah, and for the most part, I tell them like I'm like, you guys, this is not meant to like make you fucking sweat, like crazy. Like it's meant to like get you warmed up. I talk about moving slowly, not running fast, and just making everything gradually grow higher in intensity until you finally are warm enough. Because the one thing I learned after my injury is basically, if you're gonna stretch, don't stretch cold. Like get yourself a little warmed up. So
Oh
like,
yeah, you
they're
warm
basi-
yourself up first and then
They're
you
basically
stretch.
they're basically like if you run in place for like a minute or two, that's all you need, and then you can start
Yeah.
stretching really good because your muscles are getting warm, and it'll be actually much more beneficial. Those stretches will actually work a lot better.
Totally.
So yeah, that's something I know it's unpopular. Like I know some people don't think, again, like we were talking about before, some people don't think of this dance as athletic, but like just because you're wearing fucking Stacey Adams or leather soles or like heels, I'm like you're still moving very fast. Like you're actually doing more harm to your body by wearing those shoes a lot, as in like dancing as hard as we do.
Yeah.
Then so like I feel like, well, if you're gonna do that, then you might as well get used to it and like build up a tolerance
Yeah.
and build up your muscle strength for wearing those type of shoes and moving that fast.
I feel like there's not a single Lindy Hopper out there who wouldn't say that they saw a drastic change in their calves after they started doing Lindy Hop.
Yeah,
Find me one Lindy Hopper who, like, after doing a few months of Lindy Hop, wasn't like, damn, my calves have really hardened up.
I think it was even one point where like some people were like, "Oh, my left side or my right side is bigger than the other," like like
Yeah.
And I was like, "Really?" And I was like looking at it, I was like, "Oh yeah,
Oh yeah, it is.
yeah." So what's the question for both? When teaching, are there other things that which you insist to include?
That are for long-term benefits, but maybe be unpopular in the short term.
I mean, definitely for sure, like that's warm up and stretching, like for sure, like it's gonna help you long term. Take it from a person that's hurt themselves many times and heard doctors and specialists tell me you have to stretch more, you have to warm up better. You
Yeah.
fucking it took me this long to figure them out.
I also feel like the classes that are like very nitty gritty, that are like technically based, that involve a lot of technique, that can feel boring sometimes. I feel like those are always ones that I know will be good for students, but don't always feel fun in the moment,
Yeah, yeah, those are the long term ones, and I think people kind of go like, oh, this might be a thing. You go like a week or a month or a year from now, you go, oh, now I get it. So
Yeah.
maybe there's
It's
that, but I think
like
it
those
needs to be
classes where
balanced.
you only do a swing out the whole time. Like you don't
Yeah,
do
but
any other move but a swing out, and people are like, ugh, swing
if
out, swing
man,
out, swing
if people are
out.
doing if people are doing, I learned that a while back ago. Like if people are doing that, that's not the best way to actually get a point across. Uh, you gotta give them something they can succeed at, or else it's not really fun. So like that's what I'm saying. Long term or short term, like you really have to balance that as a teacher. Like especially, I mean, I don't know, I can't speak for every teacher, but god damn it, like in our world, like you got to balance that out really well, where you have some things you give them that are long-term benefits and long-term ideas, and other things that you can just get short-term, and you can get by the end of that class you can succeed. And I think it goes along with the like teaching process. Like there's a reason why for like a whole day in like a traditional education, like when you're at school as a kid, like you don't learn one thing all day long. It's not science all day long. Like you have to switch
Yeah.
from one thing to another, because like some kids are better at one subject than they are another, so they have to feel success. And I
Yeah.
feel short term things that you teach in a class are the things that people can feel successful at, and people can feel confident about, and that'll give in to the long term things that they can eventually feel confident at.
Yeah, I wonder about that.
I think it's true. I mean, like let's put it this way. Like I've talked about it before with you in the sense of like changing gears. Like if something is not working,
Oh yeah,
you
for
know what I'm saying,
sure.
and you
Switch
know
into
that,
another gear.
yeah, and you just talk about it. Like, hey guys, this is a long term thing. We're not quite getting it, and that's okay. Let's keep talking about it. Let's keep trying it. Keep it in the back of your head. But let's move on to this other thing, because I mean, like every time that other thing, it's not something completely different. It's not like going from like Lindy Hop to Balboa and going to
Right.
shag. It's
Right.
like
Right.
it's
Right.
like it's like you're going from a swing out to like an open to like a closed position
Right.
thing, but like you're still talking about the same types of things.
Yeah. Instead of focusing on like the exact same thing for hours
Yeah,
on end. I
and
hear
you
what you're saying.
and
I guess what I was trying to say was like doing like focusing on this part of a swing out and focusing on this part of the swing out and then this part of the swing out. But at the end of the class, it's still like just a swing out.
exactly, yeah. So like if you focus on one part of it, just and I wouldn't focus on like just for instance, I wouldn't focus on like a beginning part, like a 1-2 part of it, like the whole time. I would focus on it if that's like something that the class needs, and I'm like yeah, like maybe the majority will be, but then you have to move on to the next thing so you can feel what the actual effect is of that other thing, and then
Yeah.
and then you make the dancers connect. But I think as a student, and I think we talked about this last time, is like you have to go into a class kind of expecting something, and sometimes it helps to think a little non-traditionally, in the sense of like just going to a class and expecting to be spoon-fed the ideas. I think at some point, like you have to go in there and be like, talk to your fellow dancers, like talk to people,
Yeah.
say, hey, what are you feeling that is everybody else is doing wrong? Like, let me try to see if I'm doing that or not, or what can I
Yeah.
do better?
Yeah.
Like, what do you feel? Like, I'm really trying to push that forward, especially leaders talking to follows, as in how leaders can be better at confidently executing a move or starting a move, so the follow feels comfortable. Oh, and feels clear about what they're about to do.
Yeah.
I think that can be really helpful.
That's interesting. Yeah, I remember doing a class. I taught a month on musicality when I was for the rhythm project, and I remember we did this thing where like couples would dance one at a time for like a minute or whatever, and then all the other students in the class had to tell them one good thing that they did, and then one thing they could improve upon.
Oh, that's so rough. Oh God.
It wasn't rough though. It went so great.
Yeah, but I mean, it's rough because like you can't always count on the fact that it's going to go great. Just because like some people
Well,
in
yeah.
classes cannot
I
convey
mean,
an idea straightforward.
I did that with like my top level class with
Right,
like
right,
a
right,
group of people who I knew at
right.
least like an acquaintance level.
Yeah.
I would never like travel to like a city that I've never been to before and
You
be
know,
like, let's do this thing.
well,
I mean,
would
maybe I
definitely do
would.
that. I would do it, but I would separate it. I would say that let the class do. If someone's gonna dance in front, like it's a great idea. I've used it in many different ways. It's like a feedback class.
Yeah.
So like to get a what the fuck is rumbling? What the hell is going on? Sorry. Sorry, my phone just like rumbled like 6 times in a row.
Mike's phone's
So
blowing up. He's so popular.
so popular. So I would do it like this. Like I would do the rest of the class has to say to someone dancing in the center of the circle, like good things they noticed and like things they liked, and then leave it to the teachers to say that the things
Oh,
they
yeah,
could
that's
work
good.
on. And like that way you keep the class invested into what's going on and keeping in an objective mind.
Yeah.
An objective mind as into like what they feel, and then leave the subjective to the teachers, the professionals.
The professionals.
Yeah.
I
Actually, I'm about to do that this weekend.
really I
I'm
really
gonna do that
like
type of
I
class
really
this
like
weekend.
those interactive classes where everybody gets kind of a say in what's going on.
Yeah. I
Those,
mean, that's what they do at
those like workshoppy classes.
that's what they do. That's what they do the majority of in like the experiment.
yeah.
Yeah, that's like majority of their classes like that. That's why people love it so much, is because they're given they're given topics, and then they go into small groups, and then they work with other groups, and they like rotate dancers in and out of groups. So then you get to like kind of work around it.
That was why I got a degree in English, because we would have to like write these stories or poems or whatever, and then we would workshop it, and the entire class would talk about your work, good, bad, or whatever, and you were not allowed to say anything. And everybody got a copy of your work, and they would take it home, and they would write comments on it, and then they'd come to class, workshop it, talk about it, and then you would receive all the papers at the end, and you could look through everyone's notes, so that way in your next revision you could change the things that people thought needed changing, or keep the things that people really liked.
How many
It was-
times did you get something like a feedback like that, and you thought it was really really useful?
Oh, every
Like,
time.
Every
Every
time. Oh,
time.
that's cool.
And there
That's cool.
there would be like 25 people in my class, so I get plus the teacher, so I get like 26 copies full of opinions.
See, that
and
seems like a lot
every
in
now
my
and
head.
then there'd be like one person who'd be like,
Sure.
"This fucking sucks," but
Yeah,
most
of course,
people
of
would
course.
be most people would be like very constructive. Like, I love
See-
this part. This part was really
see-
personal. This part really touched me.
That's awesome. That idea is just great, but like the number that you just put, like 26, 27 voices, like for feedback, I'm like, oh, that seems like a hell of a lot. Like I have trouble with like more than 5.
But here's the thing: is that like there were some things that I ignored, or there were some people who wrote something that was
okay.
like,
I see.
this was great, and they didn't really say much. Some people would write tons. Some people would be my friends and be like, I didn't realize you went through that experience. Oh my God.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, so the feedback varied from just like comment to opinion.
Yeah,
to
it was
creative feedback to fucking
Yeah,
revision.
it was
motherfuckers
it was
or
open.
hateful shit.
It was open.
Yeah.
So and
That's
like
really cool.
sometimes people would just give me grammatical corrections, you know?
That's good. That's good. I love that. I can't live without spell check.
I mean I learned so much about writing in those workshop classes, and they were my favorite. I loved going
That's
to
so
them.
cool.
I was so excited
That's so
to be
cool.
there all the time. And I was excited to read and critique other people's work. It was
Yeah.
exciting. I think that would be really cool. Like, oh, you know, it'd be so cool to have like a class where people bring in their routines and you workshop people's routines. Like everybody gets to be involved.
You know, I saw a class like that, and I've always been eager to try to do something like that, where you take like, okay, you have 8/8, and here's the song, and we're just gonna play it over and over again, and you go with your partner, and you come back and you do it once, and we give feedback, and then you go back and you workshop it, and then you come back with whatever changes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That'd be really dope. What was I gonna say? I thought you were gonna go into like, oh, I wish they would be doing the small workshopy things with Lindy Hop, and I was gonna say, I was like, Inspiration Weekend. That's what we're changing this year.
Really? I mean,
We're
I've
having
always
an
wanted
invitational
that.
class.
I
Well,
always
well,
wanted
well,
to have like
We're not doing
us-
we're not doing
Go
the
ahead.
routine. We're not doing the routine part of it. Well, that's a good idea. I'm gonna pose that to one of the teachers. But we got rid of our teacher track, and we put an invitational track.
Oh.
And it's for higher level dancers that the 4 organizers will decide who's invited. And we're telling the teachers to like really go for something different than just the traditional ideas of classes.
Yeah.
of like, here's the topic, and then like I'm gonna work you through, and I'll fix things, and then we'll let you go at the end of the
I've
hour.
I've always wanted to do like an invitational workshop where like 15 to 20 peers all meet in a city for a weekend and like just work with each other, just like
Yeah, I
workshopping
mean,
each
again,
other's dancing.
again, that's the idea that like the experiment is based off of.
Yeah.
And it's helped guided off of what the students want, and they call them mentors. Basically, mentors really see in their dancing, and then what they can, general topics. There's always going to be general topics of technique, creativity, musicality, stuff like that is always like really prevalent in our dancing. And I love that idea too. And there's not too many Lindy Hop versions of that. I know the Balboa crowd has a couple versions of that. And fucking anybody out there, prove me wrong. Like, let me know what the hell's going on out there.
I feel
But
like
these
the biggest
smaller courses
reason,
for sure can work really well, and especially in small group type of
yeah,
atmospheres.
I feel like the biggest reason why I never followed through on it was because everybody always seemed like they were in a place where they couldn't afford to do something like that. Like they weren't willing to set aside money to travel to a city for a weekend to just workshop with other people. Like if they were going to be traveling someplace, they were going for an event that they were competing in or performing in or being invited to,
Or they're going to go just to party.
yeah, or to party, or
like
exposure or whatever.
But I think there's like a new trend coming out, and I can feel it coming out in a lot of dancers in the U.S., especially, of like working hard for it and working hard to get better at their dancing.
Yeah.
There's some parts I don't agree with, but like that's fine, because as long as they're working hard at it, like then they'll prove it to other people that they can really succeed through fucking determination, hard work, and being vulnerable and just throwing shit out there and see what happens.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's a whole nother topic for another day. What's your bright side, Rachel?
What's my bright side? I
The
mean,
bright side, yeah.
The bright side. I really like. I mean, this we like just barely scratched the surface of this vulnerability video, but it really touched me very deeply, and it's been something that I've been thinking about a lot in my everyday life and in my acting and in my dancing as well. And I have felt that I feel like acknowledging just how I'm feeling in a moment allows me to be a little bit freer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which allows me to like be more creative when I'm dancing, be a little bit more in the moment when I'm acting.
Yeah.
Be a better listener when I'm talking to people.
Yeah, I think being in the moment and listening are sort of one and the same, in the sense of vulnerability, in the sense of, it doesn't mean like you have to wear your heart on your sleeve to be vulnerable. No, it just means it means you have to take in all sides of it, and still not shit, I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. You have to look at all sides of it, the good and bad, to see where that takes you.
Totally.
And it's not just like
Totally.
hippy dippy, like, okay, well, wherever the wind takes me. No, you can
Yeah.
have a goal and you can set that, but just you have to have an idea that like it's not guaranteed.
And like being very okay with like the darkest, scariest corners of yourself, which
Yeah.
is not easy.
No, it's definitely
so
not easy.
it's so not easy. It really sucks to be in those places where you're in the middle of dealing with it. But
the other side of that is like the more and more you do it, the easier it does get to actually be okay with that, and then that grows the other side of it. That grows the better parts of it, like you said, the creativity, or just being in happiness.
yeah, I cannot tell you, like at my coffee job, how often people are not listening to what I say. Like they'll walk through the door and I'll be like, "Hey, good morning," and they'll be like, "Good, I'll have a latte." And I'm like, "Did you even hear what I said?" Because all I said was good morning. I did not ask you how you're doing.
Good.
And they say it like that. They're like, good.
Yeah, but
and I'm like, okay.
It's the other thing. It's like I do this all the time, and I'm always like, fuck, I'm an idiot. And it's when I go up to like a flight counter, and they go like, "Have a great trip," and I'm like, "Cool, you too."
Thanks,
I'm
you
like,
too. Yep. That like
oh my
automated. You're
God,
on
I'm an idiot.
autopilot. You're just responding
Yeah.
for the sake of responding.
But I'm not listening. That's the
Yeah.
thing. It's like
You're
it's
not
like,
listening.
I should just
Or
say
like,
thank you, and that's easy.
yeah. Or like I'll be like, okay, great, latte to go. Anything else for you? And they just ignore me. They just
Right.
ignore me, and I'm like, anything else? Can you hear me? Can you? 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 Can you?
Okay.
Can
okay.
you?
Rachel. I see that you just struck a chord with yourself, and it's pretty deep. I get it.
It's true though. It's true.
I know. It's
I
true,
mean,
though.
I don't blame those people. Like, I'm not their friend, and they're just wanting, like, they haven't had their
Dude,
caffeine yet.
dude,
it's like
dude, don't worry.
7:30 in the morning.
Oh my God, Rachel.
No, I'm not worried.
You don't,
I'm-
I know,
I'm
but you
just-
don't have to. You don't have to rationalize it. It's fine. There's some
I'm not.
people
I'm
that are
not.
just like
I'm not
completely void.
rationalizing it. I mean, like, I already know these things are true. I'm not like trying to rationalize it. I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm just saying that like people don't listen all the time,
Exactly.
and like
And that's the
acknowledge
thing.
and like putting forth the effort to actually listen to people makes me realize how often people are not listening, and it makes
Yeah.
me realize when I'm not listening. Because then I'm like, oh my God, what did they just say? I missed half of a sentence.
Yeah, exactly. But it's easy. It's easy to do that, and then it just takes you a second.
What's your bright side?
Like, well, I'm just a quick comment on that. Like, it's
oh
just
no,
in general.
the
Like,
end.
no, quick comment on that.
I'm
Apparently
just
you're not
kidding. Go
listening.
on. No, go on.
No, it's just in general, like multitasking. Like that's I don't see it as like a need, but it's one of those skills. I'm like, ooh, that'd be fun to build. So it's like trying to listen to people, but also like not exactly making eye contact, but like not thinking of the next thing I want to say, you know, like and doing all this stuff, you know.
I love that you're saying that because that's exactly what we're doing in my acting class tonight. We have to bring in an independent activity, something that is challenging to physically do. I think I'm gonna make cookie dough. I haven't decided yet. I think that's what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
We have to have a story behind it, like some sort of like motivation, like I'm baking cookies for my niece or whatever. She's coming over and it's been so long or whatever.
So like you have to be doing something and tell a story about it.
No, you don't. You don't tell a story about it. Someone's on stage with you, and it's called repetition. And so they'll be like, say I'm making cookie dough, and they'll be like, you're mixing ingredients. And then I'll be like, I'm mixing ingredients. And then they'll be like, you're mixing ingredients. And I'll be like, I'm mixing ingredients. And we'll go back. We'll go back and forth that a million times until like an intonation changes. Like I'm mixing ingredients. And then they'll be like, oh, you get that. And I'll be like, I get that. You get that. I get that. And they'll be like, you're over it.
You know, it's funny. You do that all the time with me.
People do it all the time in real life. Just listen. People do it. No, they do.
Well,
they do it all the time.
I do, but maybe I'm just like hyper aware that you do it. Maybe it's because you told me that story before, but I'm like, I know every once in a while I'll say something and you'll like just repeat it right back to me. I'm like, okay.
Recently I've been doing it on purpose. I've been doing it on purpose to see.
It's been a while. Yeah, it's been a while for sure.
But
I remember you told me about that. That was really funny.
But I hear people doing it all the time. Like, oh, are you going to the store today? I'm going to the store today. Or like, oh, you're cooking dinner. I'm cooking dinner. Like just the way it's all about like it doesn't matter what you're saying. It's about how you're saying it and learning how to read the emotions behind it. And it's great at multitasking and like forcing yourself to listen exactly to what the other person is saying, even if you're not listening to them or even if you're not looking at them, even if you're actively focused on something else. It's like such a brain stretcher. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
It's so
I tuned
fun.
you out a while ago. I don't know what's
Oh,
happening
of
anymore.
course you did. Of course you did. So what's your bright side?
My bright side is oh my gosh, for the first time I can't even think of an easy bright side.
Oh my gosh. Look at this. A first for everything.
I know. I think my bright side is that I'm packing for a new adventure next year. So that's going to be real fun. But it's been stressful. These last 2 days have been stressful. But the bright side is like I figured out like this one little thing that I needed, and I figured it out today, and I fucking did it. And so now as soon as we're done here, I'm going to finish packing, and then
And he's gonna
do the
get
thing.
on get.
Yeah, because it's like 1:14 here, and I have to be leaving the house at 6. So
Oh dang! So we better get going. Let's get off.
yeah. So let's
Signing off, everybody.
Let's get off. Says
Let's get out of
Rachel.
here.
Rachel says, "Let's get off."
Let's get out of here.
Let's Rachel, let's get off.
Rachel says, let's get out of here.
So everybody, you can catch us on Facebook. Please leave us a comment and a question if you feel so inclined. You can catch us on iTunes and Google Play Music and SoundCloud.
Watch
that fun
the
stuff.
TED Talk. Listen
Watch
to
the
Mikey
TED
on the
Talk.
track with Ryan
Yeah.
Swift. 2 very unfunny people.
Yeah,
It's going to
definitely.
be a travesty.
Definitely, he's got
You
that
will
upside down
miss me.
face. He's got that upside down face
He does.
because he doesn't have hair on top, but he has hair on the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
So
Oh,
he's got that
yeah.
upside down face. Yeah. You know what's funny? In that whole talk, we didn't even talk once about nerd stuff. And he's super nerd. Every time I talk about it, we're always like, "What comic did you read? What did you think about this?" So it's always really funny. But we didn't even talk about that one. We kept it on
No
topic
nerd
about
stuff.
dancing.
Dance. It's always about dance. Oh, I have a dance.
Rachel, you know what?
I have a dance.
No, you're a dummy, and I love you
Thanks.
for it.
Oh, I love you. Yay.
All right.
Okay, everybody.
Catch you guys later.
Bye.
Shut up, I hate you.
Bye.